Welcome to Roary's Roundtable, an opportunity to talk the game of football with our pal Roary, presented by University of Michigan Credit Union. My name is Coach Chris.
Hi, I'm Coach Pat.
And where is he? He better be here.
There he is.
Okay, the bell has rung. I didn't quite hear the bell, but he's here. Good. Okay, good. Professor Roary is in the house, ready to talk some more football. Coach Pat, today I thought what we do is talk about offensive formations. Now, I know you're an offensive line guy, and you probably didn't have to get into a lot of formation construction, if you will. But I think the neat thing about offensive football is the ability to allow you to be very creative in how you position your players offensively. Not only you can see what personnel you've got coming in each and every year and adjust the offense that way, or maybe many coaches just have a certain style of offense they like to be able to run, and they try to find the best fit based on the personnel that they've got on their football team. So the offensive formations that we're going to talk about today are pretty simplistic, pretty basic, but when you hear these maybe on a broadcast, or you go to a youth, middle school, high school game, college game, and you see these types of formations, you can at least talk about what these might be called. And certainly, as we all know, football has lingo that's in verbiage and nomenclature that is can be very complex. And what one team calls this formation might be called something else somewhere else. But the ability to stay creative in what we're talking about offensively, not only does it allow offenses to hopefully get that added advantage over their defense, but it will put hopefully confusion in that defense's mind to say that, you know what, I don't know what they're going to be running out of this formation. What are they going to do? What are they going to do? And so the ability to structure your offensive formations. And the neat thing about offensive formations, kids, you can go out and create your own types of formations based on following some basic terminology and basic fundamentals and rules of the game of football. So I'm excited about this session.
Yeah, there's a lot of strategy, a lot of terminology, obviously in the game of football, and especially on the offensive side, right, with being able to communicate the formation, the play. I mean, those are all things that we talk about that take place in the huddle. But the more you familiarize yourselves with some of the terminology, like you mentioned, sometimes it's mentioned in broadcast, and probably a lot of video gamers. And to be honest, you learn a lot in terms of formation, playing games that way. It's just it's something that will only help your overall knowledge of the game. And then before you know it, you're flipping on a game, or you're out at your local high school game, whatever the case may be, and you start diagnosing what the offense is lined up in, and what type of defense the defense is lined up in, and whether or not that play might work based on the formation. And before you know it, it's kind of fun to put that hat on as well. So I'm excited.
Yeah, it's the game within the game. All right. Professor Roary, are you ready? Ready for class to start? Do you have your dry erase marker? That's a blue one. Blue, Honolulu blue? Close enough. All right. Let's head to class with Professor Roary, and let's talk this episode about offensive formations. All right, Roary, what do you got on the whiteboard so far? He's got, that's Pat's favorite part of the game, Coach Pat. The front five.
Yeah, and to be honest, Coach Chris, those guys don't move a whole lot. So, from a lineman standpoint, it kind of takes some of the thinking out of it. You always go to the same spot for the most part. So,
gotcha. Fair enough. What we're going to talk right now about is what we call the single back formation. Okay, Professor Roary is going to put up what we call a single back formation. Let's check it out, Roary. Go ahead and draw that up if you would, please. Excellent. Great. Okay. So what Roary's got there is he's got a single back formation in that there's only one back in the backfield, and that's the single back. Point to that, Roary, if you would, please. There is a single back right there. It's a tailback or running back type player. Okay. Excellent. Now, there's a rule in offensive football that there's always got to be 7 individuals on the line of scrimmage. So in this case, you've got to the far left of the formation, you've got the wide receiver, okay? You've got a slot receiver between the receiver to the right and the left tackle in this case. You've got the quarterback. The quarterback's under center in this formation. All right. You've got a tight end to the right side of the field, and then you've got a flanker receiver to the right side. He's off the line of scrimmage. So, again, in this formation, as in all formations, you have to have 7 individuals on the line of scrimmage in the single back formation. Now, in this particular formation, again, which receivers are eligible to catch passes? Well, that's the left receiver on the line of scrimmage. You've got the slot receiver to the left. You've got the single back that Rory's pointing to there. You've got the tight end, and you've got the flanker or the Z receiver to the right side of the formation. That is our single back formation. Now, again, we talked about how each coach will talk and call this formation a different formation. In the experiences that I've had, you know what? We call this formation right double. And what that means to us is that in this formation, which is a single back formation, we've got the right stands for the fact that the tight end is on the right side of the field, okay, in this situation, and that the double is the opposite side. So we've got 2 receivers to the left side of the formation. So we call this right double formation, and then whatever your play call is off of that. So that's how we would call that, where I used to coach and so forth. And again, neat different ways that you can diagram plays to be able to run plays that fit your offensive system. Okay. Very good, Rory.
They definitely get more complex, but for me, Coach, this one's kind of an easy one, right? Single back, I just kind of break it down. There's, back means running back, and single usually means 1. So when I think of it, usually just 1 running back there. So again,
absolutely
making it a little bit easier for this one.
Yep. All right, let's go to the next one, Rory, if you would, please. All right, we're going to talk about now the I formation. The I formation. And no, we're not talking. Rory's going to erase his receivers a little bit. He's going to erase the slot receiver in this case. All right, and he's going to put 2 backs in what we call an I formation. All right, so if you were to stack what we call that fullback and that tailback right behind one another, it forms an I. Okay, it's a pretty short I, but it's a straight line. It's an I. And that signifies the I formation. Again, same. Go ahead, Coach.
Keeping it pretty simplistic, right? The letter I, it's just a straight line. And for whatever reason, it's always about the running backs, right? So you've got the running backs in an I formation, right? Just the two of them in an I, Rory. Very good.
Yep. And again, same thing. 7 individuals on the line of scrimmage. And the same individuals are then able to catch passes, okay? The receiver to the left, the tight end to the right, the 2 backs in the I formation, and then the flanker receiver to the right-hand side of the formation, the I formation. Very good. All right. And again, the quarterback in this case is under center. All right. The next formation we're going to go to is the split back formation. Okay. Now, Coach Pat, we said split backs. Yeah. What do you think that would be?
All right, so backs. All right, so you got 2 of them back there. I'm thinking a split back formation. So there's going to be 2 back there, and you want to split them up, right? You don't want these guys close together. So, breaking it down to the layman terms here, yeah, just split them up. Give them a little space in between one another.
Absolutely. Quarterbacks, once again, under center. All right, you've got a fullback type player on one side. You got a tailback or halfback type player on another side. There might be times where you move a tight end to the back in the backfield. There's a lot of different variations you could do from not only a formation standpoint, but from a personnel standpoint. So now again, in the split back formation, there's 5 eligible receivers. You got the wide receiver on the line of scrimmage to the left. You've got the 2 split backs. Right there, Rory's pointing to. You've got the tight end to the right side of the field, and you've got the flanker receiver to the Z receiver to the right side of the formation. 5 eligible receivers in this split back formation. And I think the unique thing about this formation is that you can run, you can pass out of these formations. Again, depending upon your personnel, you can do a combination of both. And those are the things that formations can do that, again, help put that little bit of indecision within a defense in terms of what they're trying to do. And that's the advantage you have from an offensive standpoint. You know what you're doing. The defense doesn't know what you're doing.
Yeah, there's a lot of flexibility here. I mean, when you start thinking you've got speed on the outside, right, with wide receivers, Depending on who you have in the backfield, generally you got a running back, maybe it's a fullback or another tight end type person. You have a tight end on the line of scrimmage. So to your point, Chris, yeah, you can run the ball, you can throw the ball out of this fairly interchangeably. So yeah, a lot to make the defense think about.
Okay, next formation we're going to talk about, Rory, is the spread formation. Offensive coordinators want to do a good job of spreading the field, what we call not only horizontally, but also vertically as well, okay? And so we're going to talk about the spread formation. Again, that front five that Coach Pat is so familiar with pretty much stay the same. Now, Coach Pat, would you talk a little bit, though, about maybe some of the splits depending upon if you're a run or a pass? Do those change very often?
It can. And again, some of that has to do with the scheme and what your coaches want you to do. But generally, keeping this rule in mind that the defense, particularly those defensive linemen and the linebackers, are going to line up based on where the offense lines up, right? And so if you're tight and you're compact as an offensive line, that's going to usually tighten down that defense too. But if you space out your splits, meaning that the spaces between, say, a tackle and a guard and center, if you widen those out a little bit, the next thing you know is that defense starts to widen out. So you got to keep that in mind in terms of your play calling and the way you're scheming up your offense.
Excellent. So Rory's got the spread formation set up right there. Okay, we've spread the field horizontally. We've got 4 receivers, 2 to each side. Okay, you've got a receiver on the line to the left side. You've got a slot receiver to the left. You've got a slot receiver to the right. You've got another receiver on the line of scrimmage to the right-hand side. So, again, you've got 7 individuals, all right, that are on the line of scrimmage, 4 of which in this case are eligible, the 2 receivers on the line of scrimmage, the slot receiver, and then the 5th receiver is technically that back in the backfield right there that Rory's pointing to. In this particular spread formation, we've got the quarterback not under center, but in what we call the shotgun, okay, where the center is going to shotgun snap the ball to the quarterback. And from there, the quarterback has a lot of opportunities to do. This is primarily a pass formation, but doesn't have to be. There's a lot of things you can do off this where you can run the football as well. But the idea, again, in this spread formation is to spread the defense from sideline to sideline almost. Okay, getting individuals on the perimeter, the wide receivers on the perimeter to be threats downfield. And the more you spread that defense, a lot of times that creates voids or gaps or openings in that defense that allows maybe offenses to run the ball as well.
Yeah, this certainly seems like a more popular concept that you see in offensive football at what, 5, 10, 15, the past 5, 10, 15 years, right? And it's just spreading out that defense, and to your point, Chris, just creating space, right? Creating space for your athletes, right? It looks like Rory's got, a pistol? Is that a pistol formation there you got lined up, Rory? Yeah, similar concept. You can run spread formation from a pistol where the quarterback is a little bit closer to the center, and you got your tailback, your running back behind or offset maybe. But again, yeah, spacing out the field, creating space for these speedy ball carriers, speedy receivers, and the quarterbacks to go do what they do best.
Excellent. That's the spread formation. All right, Rory, let's do this. Let's talk about the trips formation. Okay, trips. So, Coach Pat, when you say, if I were to say we're going to run our trips formation, what do you think trips means? What does that mean to you as a lineman?
Yeah, it's one of those terms I think that are kind of tossed around that you might not really know or understand, but once you figure out what it means, it's one that definitely sticks. So when I think of trips, I usually think of 3 receivers to one side. That's essentially what you learn trips means for the most part.
So what has Rory got drawn up there? Okay, excellent. He has got, let's see, Rory, what do you got there? Excellent. No, that's good. He's got 1 receiver to the left. All right. He's flanked off the line of scrimmage. He's in this case, he's got the tight end to the left side of the formation. Okay. He's got a wide receiver on the line to the right side of the formation, and he's got 2 receivers to the right side of the formation off the line of scrimmage. Again, in this case, this is trips, what we would call gun, in that quarterback is is in the shotgun formation, and the trips refers to the fact that there's 3 receivers to the right side of the formation. Okay, you might call this, in this particular instance, trips right. You might call this left trips. I mean, it depends on why would I call this left trips, because in the nomenclature, the verbiage that I used before, that I'm familiar with as a coach, the left signifies what side of the formation the tight end is on. And so there's a number of different ways that you can call this formation. Bottom line, this is a trips formation in the fact that there's 3 receivers to one side of the field. And typically those 3 receivers are split wide to one side of the formation. Okay. Does that make sense, Roary? Excellent. Good. He's got his, excellent. What do you think, Pat?
Yeah. The one thing that I see here that I, instantly kind of think of in the way that Roary's got it drawn up is obviously you got your trips there, the 3 receivers, but the one thing that sticks out to me is that you don't have a running back now, at least in this formation, right? So you're probably going to be doing what, Roary? Probably going to be throwing the ball, right? So that's one thing that, based on this particular drawing, is that you do have the 3 receivers out, and that's what we're talking about here, but there's no running back also. So it gives you better numbers to pass the ball.
Yeah, and you might also call this an empty set. Why would I call it an empty set? Because there's no backs, as you said, Coach Pat. There's no backs in the backfield. The backfield is empty other than the fact that the quarterback is back there. So, again, depending on the way you phrase and call your plays and your formations, that's what we call either a trips formation or an empty formation, okay, out of the gun, the shotgun. All right, last offensive formation we're going to talk about is very similar. Okay, this time we're going to talk about the bunch formation. All right, bunch formation, Roary. Okay, we're just going to bunch individuals up on one side of the formation, but spread out wide. And what the bunch formation allows us to do is, let's see what Roary's got going there. How's he going to draw this bunch formation?
Okay. He's got to make sure he's got 7 on the line there, Roary.
Excellent. Okay. So he's got, very good. He's got a receiver split wide to the left-hand side. That's a single receiver to that side. He's got the quarterback in the shotgun formation. He's got a back behind the quarterbacks. There's a back behind and to the left of the quarterback who's in the shotgun formation. And then on the right-hand side of the formation, you've got what we call the bunch set. All right. We got a receiver on the line of scrimmage and 2 receivers off the line of scrimmage. And what this can often do is that's difficult from a defensive standpoint to be able to cover that type of bunch set, because there can be a lot of crossing and route running that can get a defense confused. And the bunch set, oftentimes there is a lot of crossing. A lot of times that inside receiver will run out to the flat, and for a defensive back to get into that flat area, sometimes it can be difficult because there's a lot of crossing routes in front of those individuals. So yeah, there could be a lot of pivots within that bunch set. So a lot of times that this particular bunch set can be used towards the goal line or towards, near a first down. A lot of things you can do out of this, what we call a bunch formation, and we would call it a gun bunch formation just because the quarterback is in the shotgun.
Yeah, you could definitely get creative out of that formation. The other thing that kind of comes to mind to me when I see like a bunch or even a trips for that matter, when you got a number of receivers lined up to one particular side is your screen game, right? Is being able to get that ball out to a receiver. And, essentially you got a lot of times one-on-one blocking out there on the edge. And if your receivers on offense can make a block or two that can, generally spring that other receiver, that's a way to get creative as well.
Absolutely. So those are just some offensive formations that we wanted to talk about. Again, kids, we want you to be as creative as you possibly can, maybe create your own formation or such, and then run plays that whether they be run plays or pass plays off that particular formation. Get some ideas from playing your favorite football video game, if you will, or open up go online and check out some playbooks, or maybe you go to your coach and ask them what the playbook is for this upcoming season so they can practice in the off season. These are ways that you can get better playing this game of football. And the more creative you can be offensively, oftentimes you put those players in the right positions, you can be very successful on the field. Professor Roary, you did an outstanding job once again drawing things up. All right. Thanks for using the Honolulu blue marker. We like to stay true to our colors, and you've done just that. You look good today. Coach Pat, you know what? There's a lot of things you can learn by spending time in front of the whiteboard. You just got to talk things through. You got to learn things. You got to read about things. You got to watch videos online, different ways to learn the game of football.
Yeah, in today's case, you can draw, right? You can draw up those formations and practice. That's kind of fun, right? You know, when you're in the backyard, sometimes you're using the hand. Hey, you go here and you go that way, or you're drawing in the dirt or whatever the case may be. And that's how the creativity is sparked. And obviously, there's rules that you got to follow, but in terms of number of people on the line of scrimmage and so on and so forth. But you can be creative. You can use that creative mind to try to find ways to maybe go get that first down or win a big ball game.
Absolutely. Well, you know what? Until next time, this with Professor Roary. This is Coach Chris.
This is Coach Pat.
Thank you for joining us here on Roary's Roundtable.